Hey everybody, good evening. How are we doing?
Good evening.
We've been on a little bit of a hiatus. We took a couple of weeks off for a number of reasons, but one was I think just to try to kind of let things settle a little bit because I think sometimes our emotions get a little bit ahead of us.
Yes, there was a little bit too negative in the way that we wanted to present ourselves, I think.
Yeah, it was just a lot. So we figured we'd just take deep breaths and kind of let things happen for a bit.
That's right.
Because there's a lot going on, and so I guess.
And I gotta say, after the last meeting, things are looking good for Brimfield.
Yeah.
There's change in the air.
Yeah. So let's there was a meeting this past week, and here's the agenda. We'll put the top part of the agenda on. There was a couple of Memorial Day committee nominations and appointments for next year.
Yes.
And
I don't know if anybody saw the Memorial Day parade, but that once again was a phenomenal event. Although I would be interested to know why there was a non-veteran in the color guard.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know how that gets chosen, to be honest.
that was unfortunate in my eyes. But
maybe we can get somebody to chat in or whatever to kind of give us an idea how that gets picked. I would assume that it was the veterans that would have orchestrated.
I would hope so.
That.
Yeah,
that's what I would have hoped.
But all in all, it was a great event. The Memorial Day committee put on a fantastic, well planned, well orchestrated event. So that was good.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right, so
keep up the good work.
Yeah, for sure. So Cynthia and Francis are going to be on that Memorial Day committee. We've got the Chester Zimbora. I don't know that. I know the name. I've heard the name, but I don't know who it is, to be honest. But there was an appointment to the ZBA, and new appointment. I'm not sure if there was somebody who was finishing.
Yeah. So I did think it was weird. We made a point to have appointments happen July 1st when we were on.
Right.
And that was because it gave people enough notice. The term ends at the end of the year.
Right. At the fiscal year.
Right. Usually.
Right.
And I guess there was some gray area in it, and we just made it that rule that we weren't going to appoint anybody until the last meeting in June, so that it gave people time to re-up. I don't know if there were any others. I don't know if he wasn't on the committee last time.
Right. No, I didn't recognize that. But maybe in the past, who knows?
So yeah, I do think it's kind of bad. I'm gonna guess that it was Paul Vandel's seat, and Paul probably at this point doesn't want to, and hopefully he won't need to.
Right.
But if he doesn't get elected, then it would be nice for him to continue on as
right
on the ZBA, which he would have been able to do had he been able to wait until the last meeting in June.
Again, assuming that this is his seat.
Right.
Which I'm not 100% sure, but we used to. I think we used to do it. In fact, I thought it was. We tried to kind of get it so that it was the beginning of the year, or even nominated by the new sitting board.
Oh, that was the other thing that we did. Yeah.
Because it gave that. There's really no huge. It's not that big of a deal in 99% of the time, but if you have a new group of individuals on the select board. You might as well let them be the ones that make the appointments coming for that next fiscal year. It just makes sense.
Right. And that's, I think that does, the new board should be able to appoint the members that they want.
Yeah. To me, it made sense. I guess there's an open meeting law violation update, and I think that was kind of alluded to it earlier. I think it was Mr. Miller's. And I think it was just in a matter of semantics and interpretation. And I think Mr. Miller was very frustrated. And so apparently the Attorney General said that there really wasn't a willful violation of the open meeting law. So good. The Brimfield Old Home Day celebration, that's going to be on July 29th. This is the second year to do this, and so I guess this was probably just an announcement. Because I didn't see the beginning.
Weird.
I didn't see the beginning.
It was weird. I mean, it's it's nice that they do it, but the Brimfield Old Home Committee isn't a town committee, I don't believe. I think it's a nonprofit committee.
Right, it is the 501c.
Yeah, so they didn't need to request permission.
Right,
so it must have just been an announcement in the middle of an otherwise business meeting.
Yeah, probably shouldn't be an agenda item except later on.
At the end for
announcements.
I haven't seen announcements on agenda probably since we left.
No, I don't think there are. I'll go back and look just in case I'm missing it.
Yeah.
Nope. Request to use town hall. So this is interesting. Mr. Adams actually requested an informational presentation of the electronic voting system that's going to be used at the meeting, the town annual town meeting on next week. So they're going to have a demonstration. Probably a good idea to go through it, make sure everybody's using it the right way, so that they could educate people on the day of the actual meeting. So that's Thursday at 6 o'clock. He's gonna.
I actually got that changed to 6:30.
Oh, you did?
I did.
At that
meeting.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
So well played.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, that was some other people. And it'd be nice to have people get there from after work and whatnot.
If we can push all the meetings back to 6:30, it's only going to help participation.
6 o'clock is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think it's been proven that way, to be honest. In a lot of instances. It's not like the town council, in a big metropolis that meets during the day and whatnot. But anyhow. The Brimfield Public Library was going to have a magician show, Abracadabra, on June 21st.
Gotta say that with more flair.
I know, right? Abracadabra. There it is. Maybe they can make everything safe and healthy and fixed in that town hall. So June 21st at 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 in the afternoon. So again, another announcement, which is I could see the first one.
Well, no. That was a request for use.
Oh, a formal request for use. Yeah. That's right. I forgot. There's a new form there. You have to go. So if you want to use the town hall, you have to fill out a form.
And we've always had that.
Yeah, we've had that for a while.
Yeah.
And then so the select board can kind of see who's using the hall, and they can make sure that it's put back in place and kept clean and whatnot. So it's almost like a little contract, and it's been in place now for a number of years.
Yeah, the select board owns all of the town buildings and land.
Right, so they have to get the permission.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
A formal request should be good.
Go ahead.
Which brings us to the request for the use of the town common.
Yeah, so the next is the request for use of the town common for a meet and greet with the candidates in a town open house on Saturday, June 10th, from 10 o'clock to noon time. So 10 in the morning to noon time on the common. There was a request by Mr. Adams. So again, I was working by the time I logged in to this meeting. This had already gone by, so I'm not sure exactly if there was any discussion at all. But to me, if there's going to be an election candidacy reveal or open meeting or whatnot, I would really like to see the town clerk or be the one that orchestrates it.
Yeah.
Not someone that's sitting on the board of selectmen. I just think that it just doesn't. To me, they shouldn't be the one manipulating that meeting or orchestrating that meeting. And that's just my opinion, but I think it's wrong. It just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I think the Board of Selectmen are an elected and therefore political, group.
Right.
Whether you want to be called a politician or not, I would just about punch out anyone who called me a politician. But, but the sad fact is, I ran for an office,
right,
which kind of makes me a politician.
Right. No, by definition, it's just what it is, and I think the select board should. And I know the argument's going to be, we're not taking any sides. We're just trying to facilitate this interaction with the public. Well, that's not the select board's duty to do that, in my opinion. I think the moderator and the town clerk, if they wanted to put together something to introduce people, I think that's who should actually do it.
Yep.
Or the candidates could do it, or a group of individuals could do it, but I just don't think the select board should be doing it. Now, they'll also say, well, he was doing it as a resident, not as a select board member. Well, okay, you see, that's just semantics, if you ask me.
It's semantics, and the other sad part of this is that, you know, even if you want to say it's not political,
right?
The way that he went about it last year when he was running against us, you know, he had it. I never got an invite.
Right.
You know, I was told that I could come at a select board meeting.
Right. I think that's how we got it.
Yeah. So, but that's not an invite in my eyes, and therefore it was partisan last year.
Right. Especially since you couldn't make it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there was no wiggle room in when it was going to happen. Right. This year, the same thing. The candidate that Mr. Adams is backing is, you know, for select board, will be the only select board candidate there, because the other one's not available. Paul's not available. You know, so that's 2 years in a row. The only people on the common are Mr. Adams's candidates.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Which, you know, may have you, if you squint, you can say it was, you know, just unfortunate.
Right.
But it, you know, the ethics laws as written in Massachusetts state if it has the look of impropriety,
right,
then it's bad.
Right.
That's not the way that, you know, unfortunately, that's not the way that the Ethics Commission seems to look at things.
Right.
But
or that the select board would open their eyes and just step back a minute and just say, this just doesn't have good optics.
Right.
Maybe we should do it a different way. Or maybe we should ask the town clerk to kind of organize this. And, you know, if someone's out of town, they're out of town. It's just the way it is. That's just bad luck.
Right.
But it would look better.
Yes.
In my mind, it would just look better.
Yeah, and to have an event on a Saturday morning at the same time as a townwide tag sale.
Right.
You know, you've got a bunch of people who have sports, have, you know, other commitments, have work, have any number of things on a Saturday morning. Then you've got another big subset of the community that is out, you know, looking at other people's stuff for the tag-wide, you know.
Right.
Who's going to stop and you know, talk to a candidate when, you know, there could be somebody's old toaster on the side of the road.
That's right. Yeah, there's some deals to be had.
Yeah.
But I think I was just want to see, because this, all right. When did the other candidate open forum come up? Was it at that meeting?
Yes.
Before I came in. So
yeah.
But it wasn't on the agenda.
Did you get the most?
Oh, was that not?
Date?
Oh, maybe that wasn't the most up to date agenda. I probably got one on the day at the meeting.
That should have been the.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It was on something.
Okay, so if it was on the revised agenda, and that was the one where Mr. Soto was asking for a candidate meeting.
Right. And that my other.
No, he wasn't there.
He was not there,
which is unfortunate.
So that's another issue that I have with this is you know, it's Mr. Adams's, you know, meet the candidate, you know, picnic on the common, and
right.
Mr. Soto's, you know, event at town hall.
Right.
It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't.
Anybody's. You know,
it shouldn't be two. You know what I mean? They're like, you know, they almost look like they're competing instead of saying, "Oh, we're gonna do this twice."
Yeah.
Get more people to meet everybody, but I'm not sure that's what the goal was.
Right. Or make it a series and you know, have two different events, but you know, the select board shouldn't be doing these one-offs for, you know, it seems very, very political having somebody's name is attached to it.
Right.
You know, if the board wanted to do this as a board,
Mm-hmm.
then it should be a board thing.
Right. Not an individual.
Yeah.
It should be sponsored by the board.
Yeah.
The other thing too is if they're going to do something and they want to do a meet and greet, and then they want to follow it up with a candidates forum, I think that would have been better too.
Yes.
You know, so a meet and greet just to kind of get some people, maybe get some ideas passed in through some kind of nonchalant questioning or whatever. But then say, okay, now we're going to have a true forum with the moderator and with the town clerk, and ask questions, real questions.
Right. I think there is a lot of value where, you know, and I don't know the demographics or the, you know, analytics behind it if this has any validity at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's real value in people being able to submit questions and then have a moderator read them and have all the candidates respond.
Right.
And I personally think that they should be public questions so that the candidates have enough opportunity to do some research if they're not familiar with it and
Right.
get a position.
Right.
Now, I don't like the hidden questions just because
Yeah.
you want to ask, you know, what's your thought on the 3-year cycle of a police cruiser? You know, well,
it's kind of unfair.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfair, but it's also gonna lend to a bad answer where it's, you know, if you don't know about it, you just go, I don't know.
Right.
Well, that doesn't really help you much.
Right. Right.
You know, I'd rather tell you what questions I'm gonna ask. You can go research, go talk to the police chief. You know, and that will show me that even if you get the wrong answer, according to me, you've done some research on it.
Right. You tried.
And you tried, you know, and that means something when you're a selectman.
Right.
You know,
Put a little bit of effort
you're
into
willing to dig into a problem and
Totally agree. I mean, we were one of the things that we were doing kind of over the last couple of weeks was just thinking about what we could do in anticipation of the upcoming election. And one of the things that we had put our minds together is like, all right, well, maybe we can approach the
it's
candidates.
still just a small area
I don't know.
putting the minds
I know,
together.
it's still not much, but
Yeah.
you know, like a 9-volt battery kind of thing. But we thought we would reach out to the candidates and do exactly that. Like say, okay, well, we're going to offer a list of questions ahead of time, and then we will consider those questions in like a Zoom interview next week.
Yeah.
Well, I know because one of the candidates is going to be out of state, but I think if we could maybe get him to Zoom at some point, maybe if it's not that day, we could even tape it and then put it on air. I got the information to reach out to Mr. Cordy, and then I kind of pulled back a second because I wanted to see what this other Thursday night thing was going to turn into. Because if it was going to be a question and answer and more of a forum so you can kind of get to really know the person, then well, we could back off. We don't want to reinvent the wheel and do things twice. It doesn't really make any sense. But it's not looking like it's going to be that.
No, it sounds like it's going to be another
Just
open,
shake hands and say hi and walk
Yeah.
by. And so, so what I might do is I am going to reach out to Mr. Cordy, and we'll reach out to Mr. Vandal as well, and see if we can't get them. We'll probably get a half a dozen questions or something like that, and then just see.
And if anybody has any questions that you want to would like asked, you know, feel free to send them in to us. BrimfieldMatters@gmail.com. You know, if you've got Paul or my phone number, you can text them.
Yep, absolutely.
You can put them in the chat. You can put them.
I hope we're on.
Actually,
You just checked it?
Yeah.
Good. Just wanted to make sure
I don't
that
have
we're
my
on.
computer with me tonight,
No, he came
but
unprepared.
I
Ill-prepared.
actually just put my phone on. So
Okay, so we can see. All right, awesome. That's good. Yeah. So I will reach out to I'll reach out. We'll put some questions together and we'll see. I don't think I can make Saturdays and Thursdays at 6. I don't know if I can. I might be able to make go by Thursday, but
Yeah.
But we'll probably the town meeting is on Monday anyway,
Right.
and so that's a whole nother thing. So actually, that may offer some additional questions. You know, some of
Yeah.
what happens, what transpires at the town meeting may be interesting. It might actually provoke a couple of good thoughtful questions.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
let's see if there was anything beyond that at the bottom. Oh yeah. All right. So there was regular liquor license. That's van policy. Do we want to go there? I mean, they're just looking at policies for the senior center, and I'm assuming training more than anything, or who gets.
It was interesting. This van policy, you read that and it sounds like it's, going to be something that is an edict and it's so shall be moved.
Right.
But it really wasn't that well put together, and you had, once again, this board would do much better if they would just discuss things with their employees.
Right.
And hopefully that will change this coming year. I have high hopes that with whatever vote happens,
Right.
it's going to be a step up.
Yeah. No, I'm really. I think that there will be an opportunity to have things change around a little bit. Hopefully, that's what we're hoping, anyways.
Yeah.
The
see how it's
public water project. I came in after that too. It's amazing how fast all this went, because I came in and the police chief was, and it was not even it was like 6:18 or 6:20 or something like that.
Yeah, it's very easy when there's no discussion allowed.
Right. Public water supply, proposed locations for the well. Did they really talk about it?
Yeah, they did. Well, they had some, and they had a map at the end which I looked at, and basically the water supply where they were planning on having the well was up by the school, closer to the highway barn.
Okay.
And there wasn't really kind of like what you and I have known is, and everybody that I've talked to has known, you can't really steal that water from Peter to, pay for Paul.
Right.
It's the same aquifer.
Right.
So there wasn't really much of a benefit of putting it there, and they were concerned that it just wouldn't do much. They were able to find a good spot closer to the town hall, which should actually cut the cost down.
Sure, if a distance, yeah, absolutely makes sense.
But the best part, so there's an area in the woods back behind the town hall, center. Over by the senior housing.
Yeah, senior housing. It's on that senior housing. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that looks promising. The best part of this is with Ms. Collins going to pasture. She has handed this project over to Board of Health.
Oh, good.
And they're taking control of it. And I happen to be sitting next to the chair of the Board of Health. And I talked to him and told him that, the biggest problem with this has been communication. And, we've always wanted fresh water at the annex in town hall. It's no secret that, they should have it.
Absolutely.
But I haven't been in favor of this one because there has been no information.
Right.
And everything has been sketchy. And, it's not a way to run government.
Right.
So I strongly urged him to do a public hearing, or public, not even hearing as much as just a public session.
Meeting, yeah.
And let all of us know what's happening, what the plan is, why we need it, why is this well that, a year ago had a ton more water than we would ever need,
right,
is now insufficient to supply even our current demand.
Right.
Nobody has ever explained that.
Well, and then they had the number that was wrong because of the running water that was depleting it at an exorbitant rate. And then they figured out that there was a problem in how fast the water was being taken out that wasn't accounted for. And when they fixed that, it seemed to go back to the regular numbers that they had before. I think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough to follow because
the other thing too is like when you're building a house and you need to put a well in, it's all part of the same plan. When you put a well in and then you say, well, now we have to rebuild all the town buildings, having that well, I guess having it there makes it available for whatever project you do.
Right.
But it still would be nice to have an idea of what we're doing, what the project is going to be first.
Right. So hopefully having it leave the hands of the Board of Selectmen and go into the Board of Health. I'm very optimistic. Yeah. Once again, optimism is the word of the day. That the Board of Health will really shine some light on what's going on, really educate the residents as to what the issues are, why we need this, and why we should use over half of our ARPA funds, on this as opposed to fixing a town building.
Yeah, or
anything else.
Other things.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get back to the bottom there. Let's see. Structural engineering report. Well, this can't be a big surprise either.
No.
I mean, everybody always. I mean, one of the big issues that came in front of the board in the last 18 months was this reiteration that we just keep on kicking all these building plans and these engineering evaluations down the road. Well, you're right. I mean, you can only get so many projects done. I think the older building committee 1.0 did a great job. They were ready to kind of go to phase 2 and see what the town would be palatable to the town for the next phase of things. It didn't seem like it was moving fast enough, so they changed everything, and then they got another study that just showed the same thing.
In fairness, Building Committee 1.0 wanted this study done.
It would have had to have been. It would have had to have been done.
Yeah.
At some point.
And I don't know if they didn't. I don't think they thought it wasn't moving fast enough. I think they thought it wasn't moving with the right people. And they didn't like the plan.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So they threw out the well-functioning, well-formed committee, as we've discussed ad nauseum here. Brought in their people, slowed the process down. If we had just kept going, if the building committee was able to do their job that they were doing just fine, we would have on this warrant, I am sure of it, a plan to move forward with a new building.
Right. At least a couple of proposals to vote on.
Yeah.
Even theoretical.
Yeah. But because of the political pettiness that has gone on this year and has been the hallmark of this board, we're a year behind, and now we have a plan or an engineering study that confirms what we all knew and what was spelled out in 2016 and again in 2019, that we need to do something.
Right. And what's going to happen is that a year and a half from now, we're going to need another engineering plan. Because whether they get things moving or not, they'll probably have to do something again in the future if they don't get off their rear ends and get something done. But I can't even imagine going on that committee blind like that. Without the knowledge of what happened over the last 10 years, without all that information and going through it, you can catch up a little bit, but boy, it would have been a lot easier to assimilate new people into a committee that was already long-standing and have an understanding. They could bring people up to par eventually as the meetings progressed, and that would have been a far better way of getting new blood, if that's what the goal was, to get them onto a committee that's already standing.
Yep.
But
I don't know if you saw the building committee meeting from May 24th, I believe. I listened to that on my way to to work this morning.
Oh,
And it was interesting. The engineer was there, and they talked through the plan and talked through some ideas. And it looks like, much to nobody's surprise,
right.
the annex was the really bad problem, and they were discussing the idea, and I would think that it's probably going to become a reality of moving people from the annex back into the town hall, and trying to limit the weight. Why are you laughing?
I think that was proposed.
Wait, when?
Like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I think that was definitely one of those things that was being proposed and was actually turned 180.
Yeah,
Wasn't
I
it?
think you're right.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
Let's bring everybody over to the annex. Let's start talking about putting people on the second floor that,
Yeah.
you know,
Put 'em in the annex
3
and
years ago
fall down.
was discussed, moving everybody off of the second floor. But let's move them back up.
Right.
So,
Oh well. That's funny.
yeah. So, and then they started talking about the building committees. One of the building committee's ideas has been, have not been a huge fan of it, has been a floating floor above the Great Hall. And that's been something that's been actively discussed a couple of times. So basically cut the Great Hall in half horizontally.
Right.
So you make that 2 floors.
So basically, instead of having those cathedral ceilings, bring it down so there's a second floor.
Yeah. So George Washington would end about here.
Just bring him down a little bit.
Yeah. Somebody could pat him on the head from the second floor. But
Make a hole.
where you going with that?
Make a hole in the floor just so half of the frame could be in the second floor.
Yeah.
Don't drop anything down the hole.
But
Just silly.
But the engineer was pretty much saying, you know, to retrofit that into the existing building would pretty much defeat any, you know, it would cost more to do that than to put the addition on. So
Right.
I would have to listen to it again. I was driving, so I wasn't paying full attention. You'll be happy to know.
Yep. Very
My
safe.
mom would be
Safe
happy
of
to
you.
know. Yes. But it appeared that the engineer and some of the board was leaning towards putting a small addition off the back and then an L coming forward.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that one before. Have you?
I've heard of the L in the back,
Yeah.
but not necessarily coming forward.
Well, no, same thing.
Oh, I have heard of that before.
You have?
Yeah.
When did you hear that?
I think it was from Building Committee 1.0. A
Oh.
long time ago.
Was that what they were going to be proposing like a year and a half ago?
I think that was kind of their phase 2.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
modification thereof. They were trying to see what they could do.
Well,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. That was definitely part of the original proposal way back when, but the town wouldn't spend that much money, so they had to cut. And so they cut out the town hall and all that so they can get the safety complex done. So it was designed. And the other thing that's important is that it was designed. I mean,
Yeah.
it was designed and engineered and whatnot.
It was a preliminary design.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
there were plans already made that you
Right.
could use as a footprint to build
yeah.
upon or modify
Yeah.
or whatnot.
So,
But
you know, and unfortunately, you know, Building Committee 1.0, which had a lot of respect and a lot of great people from a lot of different areas in town,
yep,
groups in town, got disbanded, got hastily put back together, and I'm, you know, hopefully, you know, because the town buildings do need repairs,
right.
a lot of repairs, and it's going to be a big project, and I don't know if this building committee has the juice to make something like this happen.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, it'll be I mean, it's going to take a lot of meetings to catch up and get
Yeah.
going and move on, especially since we have the
And
study
gain
now.
the credibility. I guess credibility is...
Gain credibility, because they're going to have to get a project ready to propose to the next annual town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Unless we want to try to have a special town meeting at some point in the fall, but I don't think they'll have it done by the fall. But it's going to be hard even to get it to a
Yeah.
point where it's presentable on a platter to the town next year. And so
Right.
that's going to be, they need to be working now a lot. It's going to take a lot of meetings and a lot of hopefully good thought-provoking questions to kind of put together a plan or two, and then have
Yeah.
a town hearing or a town open meeting and say, what are people thinking, and then and then see what people vote for.
Yep.
That's like early phase, but it needs to be done now. It needs to be done yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So just to highlight so that people understand how severe this is, in the annex, there was one and didn't pay full attention. I don't know which wall it was, and if it was a bow or just a lean altogether, but there was a 4 to 5 inch offset on one of the walls.
Oh, substantial.
So I mean, that's if you're talking on, I mean, that I don't know the frame on that. I would imagine that it's some sort of the what do you call them? Trusses and joints.
Up in the roof.
No, just how they. I would think that they'd notch the beams.
Oh, that's an old building. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
yeah.
4 to 5 inches. If it's a bow out, there's not much left on the supports on the
That's a
second
lot.
floor.
And honestly, the news has been full of collapses and things like that. Those are mostly brick buildings, but they're structural buildings that have fallen apart.
Yeah.
And so I think the community is very aware of these kind of risks. And if that's the case, they need to get moving.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad. It's
Yeah. I think if anybody had any thoughts of saving that building and making it pretty, it's never going to happen.
So the historical commission was at the building committee meeting,
Yeah.
and they were fighting for the. It was weird. This building committee is focused on the outsides, as they should,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to try to preserve that front piece of the annex.
Yep. The facade kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when they went in and started talking about, putting a second floor
Mm-hmm.
on the Great Hall, and the woman was there and not talking for the committee on things that hadn't been discussed by the committee. So she couldn't say a whole lot, but I would have hoped, I was really waiting for her to say, don't touch the Great Hall.
Right.
Like, yes, it's a fantastic exterior if you like that it's a very unique
Right.
historical exterior, whether you like it or not,
Right. Right.
whether you like the color or not. It's a unique town hall. But I think equally as impressive, whether you like it or not, from the outside, is that Great Hall itself. And I think that's a great example of, what's that, 19th century,
Yeah.
the
Architecture.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's impressive. It's got those. It's a very neat building. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And with that specialty note to it, it's extremely hard to fix them and
Yeah.
to bring them up to code, and to and there are lots of issues with even trying. So that's why the building committees, they've got their task cut out for them.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting if there are people that come up and say, why are they kicking us down the road? How come it's taking so long? There are more facets to that discussion than, what color paint should we pick? I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot to take in, and a lot of it has to do with bidding process, the costs right now of construction, keeping the historic commission happy, lead paint. I mean, ADA code, parking ability. I mean, there are so many things now that weren't in place then when it was made that are going to change
Sprinklers.
what you can do. Sprinklers. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you don't have the annex, you have that extra room for parking and whatnot, I suppose. But yeah,
But the
sprinkles alone would be.
Historical Commission was very concerned about, tearing down the historic looking annex and replacing it with parking. And that was a no-no.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, oops, the bulldozer did what? Oh, sorry. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's just no way that they're gonna be able to gain or get funding enough that will make preservation of that building a feasible notion. Just no way.
Right.
Because it would take so much money to do it, and then they're going to have some sort of an endowment to take care of it. Because it's just not realistic.
Yeah, and he was talking about it, so an office today, any sort of high use area, whatever, anything with commercial building should be 100 pounds per square foot is the rating that they try to make.
For load, you talk about load bearing.
For load bearing, yeah. So he said some of the offices that aren't used could be 50, but if they've got filing cabinets, which the town of Brimfield is overrun with filing cabinets, then it should be 70 to 100. So basically everything should be 100. That building new was probably built to 30 pounds per square foot.
Right.
And now that everything is pulling apart, because partly age, partly overweight, and partly, settling and all that.
Yeah.
It's not a safe building.
Right.
And the big things with the town hall, just so everybody is aware of that as well, that I heard at the building committee meeting, was the masonry work, that all of the concrete between the field stones and the brickwork, that's all coming apart. And the engineer's comments on that was that it's really something that is now an exponential problem. It's a problem now. It's a big problem in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So that's something that should be done. And with the past assessments, he didn't seem to say that we were going to need to lift the town hall, which I've heard before.
Yeah. Thanks.
And that was going to be huge money. But so I don't know if this would be an interim fix or if this would fix it, just repoint all the masonry work.
Wow.
But either way,
well, that may end up having to be like phase 2, part A. You just get that done, and that's going to be $250,000, $500,000 to probably refound. I mean, if you got to raise it all up, you get the right people, they know what they're doing, but it's going to be a heavy building.
Yeah.
Help us to safe in that building weighs a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the other major problem with it is that some of the trusses in the
I was just thinking, and raising that up, all the servers and everything in the basement.
Yeah.
So
those are the backup servers now. The server data center is now in public safety.
It's public safety. Yeah. Okay, that's right.
We did that.
Yep, we did that. I forgot about that.
So the other problem is the trusses in the attic. There was one that was shored up about 10 or 15 years ago, and they did some nice work with some steel and some lag bolts, and that worked well. It looks like I guess they found a couple more that could be going that way.
Mm-hmm.
So those should be fixed. But those are the two major issues with the town hall. The guy was basically saying with the annex.
Yeah.
It's
focus on the town hall, basically.
That's the way that I heard it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the way most of the engineers have kind of interpreted it over the last 6 years.
Although the retiring select person, or one who's not running, did say that the other major problem with the town hall was that if a window breaks, the building inspector is going to condemn the building. So
that wasn't reiterated recently, though.
That was at May 24th.
Really?
Yes.
I remember when you said it, I just about fell out of my chair laughing. But
the windows are in poor shape. Even
right.
the window panes are what he was referring to.
Right.
The window frame itself, those are all starting to rot, and there's a lot of work there.
Sure.
I do think that instead of even worrying about the windows at this point, you just put a piece of plexiglass up. That would be an insert. If the windows fall, they fall into plexiglass and down. Right. It would stink, but
can't imagine that some kid throwing a rock to that window is going to make that building fall down. I mean, he must have been saying if the window itself, like the window, falls out.
I believe it was a pane. But I don't know.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
I'm not an engineer.
The inside,
my house is being held up by a pane of glass.
Yeah,
I mean, glass is strong, but
yeah. So anyway,
yeah,
we're staying positive tonight.
We are staying positive. So, anyways, I think the annex is done. We'll see what happens. I think they've got to get at least some of these initial projects put into a package and get it ready for next year's meeting.
Yeah.
Because it's got to get done. It's got to get done next year because you can't wait another additional whole year after that.
Yeah. I do hope that there is a movement to get, I don't know, I guess I'll just throw this against the wall. Say maybe the town clerk, the building, conservation, and planning all over to the town hall. And have that so we can unload at least those people over to the to the town hall, relieve some of the stress that's on the annex. If we can, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to just retire the Great Hall for now as a Great Hall and put up cubicles. And I hate to do that.
All right.
Because that's gonna hurt the floor and all that. But
right. And it always talks about elections and things, but honestly, the school will work. Yes. The school will work fine. I mean, it'll work for meetings. It will work for voting. The safety complex can work for voting too, I guess. I mean, I guess they just have to figure it out. But
yeah. And it's going to be tough. Right. I mean, there's when you start dealing with cubicles, it's everybody's been in a cubicle before. Yeah, you know how much privacy you have. Yeah. The phone calls all get public, and it stinks. But unfortunately, that's what this town has kind of come to. Is
might need to do it. Just bite the bullet. I mean, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just put on your big pants and go.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Let's see. Police Chief Beaudry with some updates from the police department. All right. I came in just when he was talking, kind of towards the end, and they were talking about getting new weaponry for the individuals. So I don't think there was anything more than that.
The big shout out. This is great. Chief Beaudry was hired back in November. I guess appointed as acting.
Yeah.
In about November when Chief Cuss retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and since then we have not had a lieutenant. So it's been the chief and officers.
Right.
And he appointed 2 sergeants instead of a lieutenant last night. And those 2 sergeants are Paul Bouchard, who's been with the force forever, has been just a phenomenal resource, super good guy. Wayne Mark was the 2nd sergeant. He's been with the force for about a year and a half, I guess. I've heard great things about him as well. I don't know him as well, but Sergeant Bouchard will certainly, I guess, sergeant to be as of July 1st.
Right.
Will be a really great addition. very good decision making, and I'm not saying that Sergeant Mark is not. I just don't know him as well, but it was a very good choice.
Right.
And
No, I think it's good.
Yeah. So once again, optimism runs high.
There you go.
Sergeant Bouchard and Sergeant Mark will hopefully be great additions.
Yeah, absolutely.
There were 2 new police officers that they appointed.
Yeah.
This Officer Penksta and Officer Maxfield.
Penkala.
Yeah.
William Penkala and Graham Maxfield.
Graham Maxfield used to be the chief in Charlton.
Oh.
And he retired from Charlton. He may have even worked in Brimfield. I forget now.
Okay.
But he's coming over. I don't believe he's going to do too many hours, but more details. So that's also good.
Right.
We definitely after the May flea market. I don't think did we have a show after that. I don't think we did. Either way, I will say that
we may have had
the amount of officers present at the flea market was downright scary. There were 2 days out of the 5 that I went down there that I, for the first time, and it happened twice that week, I never saw an officer. Which is, and we had there was a great crowd.
Right.
And heaven forbid anything happened, because we did not have the force to respond quickly.
Right.
So
other than the trying to get everyone with the same weaponry, was there anything else as far as improvements or equipment? I didn't hear anything after that. I thought it was interesting when they were talking about the new hires to fill hours and to fill details. I thought that was interesting. I thought details were kind of put out there, and sometimes other towns or retired police officers or whatnot would pick up details. And I think like there was some sort of a listserv or some sort of a posting area that you could go in and sign up and get details. So I didn't think you needed to hire people to fill details generally.
Right. Yeah, and I wasn't so sure about that myself.
That didn't make sense. That part of it, when he said it, didn't make sense. Unless he's talking about details in the town that are $40 an hour.
Yeah.
That outside personnel might not take.
Yeah, and it might just, I mean...
So I thought it was interesting that that's one of the impetus for hiring. It just, that didn't make sense.
Yeah, and that was more on the side of Officer Maxfield.
Okay.
And it might be that Chief Beaudry came from Charlton as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a friend, and as long as his friend said, I want details, and I'll do as many details as you want, which includes the flea market.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a resource.
It's a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a former chief. He'll be able to
train,
know how to do things.
Right.
And if he wants some extra hours, good for him. Come aboard and help out at back when we had 16 officers at the 16 officers working a flea market.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 or 4 of them that's all they did every year was flea market details.
Right.
And we lost all of them.
Right.
And if we can get some of them back, and we can have more bodies down at the flea market, that's a win.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. We need people working that show.
The other interesting thing I thought during that entire discussion, the first thing I was thinking of was, okay, what's the police budget? Because to be honest, I have never seen a police budget not get discussed and talked about in February and March and ironed out with the select board and with FinCom long before the warrant.
Right.
And certainly if it wasn't before the warrant, at least before the meeting. And I know FinCom was at this meeting and they didn't even talk about it. I mean, they didn't invite or have a question. Not that FinCom needed to have a question, but that they didn't have a question. I say Mr. Beaudry did say, Chief Beaudry did say he thought that the budget as it stood would suffice. Well, I don't know what the budget
Right.
as it stands, what it looks like.
Right.
I don't think we do.
No,
Anyways, it wasn't very clear. And Mr. Adams, in infinite wisdom, basically said, well, we'll see if the budget gets passed at the next meeting at the annual town meeting. So that they don't even know what the budget is going into this town meeting. So are they going to support it or not? We don't know. I mean, they will.
I hope.
Yeah, they will. I mean, no matter what it is, they will. Now, what it's going to mean is that FinCom is going to have a pencil and a computer or a calculator to kind of figure out what those other numbers are, because they're going to be changing on the fly the whole time.
I hope not.
Yeah, I guarantee. I guarantee there's a lot of math getting done.
Yeah.
It has to be, because there has to be a budget.
No discussion.
There has to be a budget, and if this budget is asked for is higher, I mean, I don't see how it could be equal to the last budget.
Right.
It can't be.
They did submit
maybe it could,
money.
because they lost.
They did submit money.
Yeah, a number, a value.
Yeah.
For payroll.
Yeah.
And that might cover, because they lost a lot of people.
Right.
And so, so that might work.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
Yeah. So
yeah. So then he was talking about finalizing his standard operating procedures, which is great. It's always good to do that.
Yep.
That was something that we had requested, and that Lieutenant Beaudry was working on, 3, 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he got it done. So that's a win. So that's good.
That is good. That's a lot of work.
Yep. Yeah, and it's miserable work.
Right.
So good on that. He got the guns. There's some mixed feelings on having the same guns. We won't get into it here.
Yeah, it's up to them.
But that's what the chief wanted this time around, so they got it. They're moving forward. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And he also bought a bunch of bulletproof vests for all his officers, which, again, awesome thing.
Right.
He's gone after grants. Hopefully the grants will pay for it.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm not sure how he's paying all this money.
Right.
Where to get the money for all the rounds of ammunition, all the
new guns.
The guns. The guns come with sights and lights and
so I figure they're going to be a grand
holsters.
Minimum of $1,000.
I would
Holsters
say
are going to be
probably
probably like 2,500 when you add in holsters and belt. I mean, flips and additional. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean the bulletproof vests are over $1,000 each. Easy. So that's a lot of money. That right there blows through the police's total expense account.
Right. Which they're
at the end of the year. I'm sure they bought other stuff.
Yeah. I have no
so
idea.
I'm not sure where all that money's coming from.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it
Hopefully
was.
it comes through in the grant. Otherwise, I don't know what the plan is.
Yeah.
And I guess that's not our job.
Nope, it isn't. Our job is to point it out so that you at home know and can ask the right questions.
That's correct.
Another interesting thing, I think we're done with that.
Yep.
Right? All right. Another interesting thing I thought, and I'm going to let everybody look, the advertisements that they did about the, what was that one that was at the top there?
The Old Homes Day?
Yeah. So they did the advertisement for Old Homes Day. What's missing as far as advertisements go?
I got it.
What do you think it is?
I know two.
Two. Okay, what might they be?
Okay, I'm going to guess the annual town meeting.
There you go.
Election.
Election probably would have been a good one to reiterate as well. Yeah. I mean, I know they said the candidates forum or meet and greets ×2, I guess. Actually, there's one on the agenda, two on the agenda. I don't think they set on time the first time, but now it's on Facebook. So
right.
So yeah, I mean, I would have thought, like, when it says next scheduled meeting is June 26th, you think they would have said there's a meeting before that people might want to attend, the June 12th annual town meeting, which is Monday night
Yeah, at 6.
at 6. Right?
Yeah.
It just dawned on me because I didn't change my schedule. Dang it.
Uh-oh.
That could be a problem. But it won't matter. Don't anybody fret. I'll be there. I'll get there eventually.
I'm just checking the weather.
Somebody said
Oh.
it was going to be
Yeah.
not bad. Oh. Yeah.
Got a 58% chance of rain.
And
12-mile-an-hour winds.
high of 79 and a low of 59. So 6 o'clock, it'll probably be about 69. Somewhere
Yeah.
around there, I would think.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be, probably 69.
It'll be interesting.
Probably, 65, somewhere around there. So we'll put on a little meteorologist thing. I would probably wear
layers.
Layers, because you might need them as the day goes on. As the
Bug
night-
spray.
Yep. If it's not raining, it might be buggy. If it is raining, well,
Might be buggy.
yep. Bring
Rain
water
gear.
shoes.
Yeah. The last time we had it there, the last 2 times we've had it there, we had people sitting out on the chairs
Yeah.
on the other side of the
Oh yeah, the picnic tables and
pavilion.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's raining,
Unless they put up a tent.
I haven't heard anybody talk about it, discuss it.
We'll see. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Hey, on that note,
on that note.
I gotta go feed some animals.
All right, very good. So I think we are done. That last meeting was Ms. Collins' last meeting, so this is probably the last time we'll do this.
Children.
I think it went through. It was probably slow and low, but anyway. So very good. We will. So a couple things. We are going to try to look at this candidate meet and greet, and we will get some questions maybe, and we can do an interview with the candidates next week. If there's not going to be a good resource to figure out how to get them questions, and
Yeah, feel free to submit questions to us.
throw some at us, and we will. I guess we'll see everybody at the annual town meeting next week.
Yes.
Monday night.
Please come. Please vote.
Monday night. All right.
Monday night.
Very good. All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, guys.